Hello everyone, it's great to be back with the Mineral Products Association Health and Safety Awards for 2022. We've got some terrific work to showcase and stand by to meet many of our winners. This year, having listened to your feedback, we're streaming the awards and bringing you the results here online. The awards recognise the work that's been done to embrace Vision Zero, and we're highlighting the action that's been taken to prevent those high consequence incidents signposted by the Fatal Six. As you will all know, these are the 6 hazards that are responsible for the majority of fatalities, serious injuries and long-term ill health in the industry. The MPA is determined to reach 0 serious incidents or fatalities associated with the Fatal Six by 2025. Before we get to our winners today, a big thank you to our sponsors. The MPA is extremely grateful for your support, so can we begin our proceedings by thanking IDC and all our other sponsors. Now, the judges have told me that this year there were 149 entries for the Topic Awards, and the quality of the entries is extremely high. Entries have come from 40 companies across all product sectors, and there was an increased proportion of entries from SMEs. With Safer by Sharing as our theme, let's go to the first 4 of our 8 Topic Awards, which highlight how companies and individuals are taking action to achieve Vision Zero, keeping everyone safe and well every day. First up is the award for Safer Production, sponsored by Ibstock. Let's take a look at the finalists.
So part of the process for manufacturing T-beams is that we use 5mm intense wire.
When the wires are being stressed, they have a tendency to potentially slip, or if there's deficiencies in the wire themselves, they may snap. If either of the two happen, then the wire is going to be coming out of the bed and travelling toward the operatives.
Part of that stressing process, we have to have individuals in the shop to make the bed safe and lock the beds in position once the stressing process is done. Unfortunately, 4 years ago, one of our operatives in shop 1 was actually injured by a broken wire.
The management and health and safety looked at it and they decided that there needs to be an exclusion zone, so everyone apart from the 2 operatives were out of the building and safe. Steel booths or bunkers were put around the stressing area, so when they are stressing, at least they've got an element of protection.
So obviously there's a risk there again with having people involved. Objective is to completely remove them. So Ed Berridge, he works in the maintenance department as a mechanical engineer. He's come up with a improvement idea.
The idea is it's very simple. It's just generally 2 gas struts that are fitted on a movable plate that are pre-primed. So when the stress head has finished its process, the 2 steel pins that currently the operatives have to put in, the 2 gas struts will push the pin into position.
So it's been manufactured totally on site. Ed's been responsible for all of that. What we're going to do is install HD cameras above every bed. The operator will go back to the control room, and then once he's happy, he'll be able to operate the stressing process.
The operatives will be able to view what they would do if they're in the bunkers, so they'll be able to remove everyone out of the building.
So we're currently implementing it throughout shop 1, and we'll look to then roll that out into shop 2, which is a very similar process. And then we have an extruded process in shop 3, which will then look to develop a different system to, again, with the same objective, to remove everybody from stressing.
We run circa 200 articulated dump trucks around the country. Over the years, going back as far as 2015, our company identified a really worrying trend within the industry. And because we run so many articulated dump trucks, then it was clear to us that some action needed to be taken to try and manage the risk of them overturning, because there's the serious risk of personal injury.
We started off by looking at the feedback and the trends from our client base, allowing us then to dig into the root cause and apportion how we were going to solve that issue to reduce the risk.
So the inclinometer takes away the opportunity for a driver to actually create an overturn.
It prevents the tip, and we call that a refused tip. The innovation comes from the way we've used the inclinometers. We have linked them with the telemetry within the dump trucks. The information goes into the cloud, and then we can use that as a management tool to then sort of belt and braces manage where we've got issues with particular dump trucks or particular areas of the site.
We share all our information and all the events and all the refused tips.
This allows us to track trends, obviously, across all of our sites.
If we can see a trend developing before it becomes an incident, that gives us, we can be proactive rather than reactive.
Having that immediacy of information means we can resolve the issues very, very quickly and prevent the refused tips for other trucks working in that area.
It empowers our operators by giving them the knowledge of how safe it is for them to tip.
Which gives our clients confidence that we're continually evolving and that our drivers are operating in the safest manner possible.
We're at FP McCann KB. We produce precast concrete products, which mainly consists of fencing products, for example, gravel boards and various sizes of precast concrete posts. All the fencing products are produced using a coop machine. The vibrators are running all the time, and that's to distribute the concrete into the mould evenly. So you get an even spread across the mould. Once it's filled and the employees come in with the floats, the vibration is reduced by half, and then they carry out the floating process. We identified that there was a risk of hand-on vibration during that process. So that was looked at in the design stage of the new machines. So the main objective of the new machines was to eradicate the employees standing around the machine at the end of the finishing process to float. So what the company did, they looked at that widely with Coot Engineering, and they came up with the roller system that distributes the concrete evenly. And at the finishing side, they've got the roller system and they've got the reciprocators that run across it and give us a good finish. So that meant we eradicated in the trialling stage of the employee being at the table to float. It was tested and it worked, and now we're at the stage where we're just installing the third machine. Once the machines was up and running, we carried out a survey. We had an example where we had moved the new employee onto the new machine, and he used to work on the old system. Over a month period, we measured his vibration exposure on his old system, which he didn't exceed his daily exposure of 100 points at any time during that period of the month. But when we moved him onto the new machine, we found significantly we've eradicated his vibration exposure.
We were having uncontrolled discharges of bitumen both at the delivery point and in plant use. Following a reorganisation in the asphalt division, we looked at all the paperwork and practical systems that were involved with bitumen delivery and in use. So what we did, we made sure that each plant had a standard set of procedures and paperwork systems, as well as equipment that was standard for the job, such that all employees know what to deal with when they are moved to different plants. We reviewed our safety incidents and found we had 3 bitumen kettle overflows approximately per year. So what we did was install 2 additional safety devices. One was a bitumen pump timer and the other one was a bitumen kettle high-level probe. Working with data from the MPA, we discovered there was an issue in the industry with vent pipes blocking. So we developed an easy test that's very simple to do with an anemometer on the vent pipe that allows us to measure the amount of airflow. That gives us a very good indication of whether the tank is starting to block or everything is perfectly fine, ready for a bitumen delivery. Following an incident involving a contactor sticking in a bitumen heater panel and therefore allowing bitumen to go beyond its desired temperature, we designed a system where another contactor will pull in and fail to safety to ensure that the bitumen did not go beyond its desired set point. We then looked at a telemetry warning system. This measures the temperature within all our bitumen tanks. It allows us to set temperature controls such that if the bitumen were to be overheated, it would send out a warning text to a group involved in the maintenance. Whilst working with our colleagues in the MPA in a working group, we found that there were very little standards or inspection regimes for bitumen tanks once they were installed. And what we've designed is a check-proof form electronic system where an employee can go around the tank in detail and look for signs of damage that will give us an early warning system such that we can make repairs before we have an issue with the bitumen tanks. The training on the use of bitumen is very important. At CEMEX, we've recently run a full-day training session for all our asphalt plant managers, which then gets taken back to site and retrained back to our employees. The understanding and use for bitumen is vital to ensure that bitumen safety remains paramount in our industry.
An impressive lineup, I think you'll agree, and that's the case throughout the awards this year. The winner of the MPA Award for Safer Production is Chepstow Plant International Limited. Let's look at the other entries as well in this topic that were recommended for awards. Next, we've got the award for Maintenance and Housekeeping, sponsored by Weir Minerals. Here are the finalists.
So here at Singleton Birch we have 75 conveyor belt cleaners, or sometimes known as conveyor belt scrapers.
Belt cleaner, it cleans the conveyor belt of any material that's left on after it should have entered the transfer point.
The challenge always was, when we started to install the cleaners, was because it's such a large site and there's such a large number of conveyors, getting to the ones that needed the most attention often was a bit hit and miss. Because we didn't know what the condition of the cleaner was, we would have to go through the motions to eliminate the fact that that particular cleaner didn't need any service. A technician would come in a couple of times a month and service those cleaners by either retention and replacing the blades. It was very manual, very labour orientated, lots of removing of guards, inspecting the cleaner, then replace the guards and then move on to the next conveyor. Now we go to that cleaner with a purpose through the N2 position indicator. As we call it, it's a cleaner with a brain. It talks to the Internet of Things, to the cloud, which effectively talks to your desktop or your phone and tells you what's going on with that cleaner without you having to visit it. Measuring the angle change as the blade wears down. It's then calculating the wear of that blade, and it can predict when you will need to replace that blade. So the technician, before he comes, can look at the number of cleaners that need attention, prioritise those with the site, organise for only those conveyors to be isolated, which allows, again, to reduce the hazards to the technician, but also increase productivity for Singleton Birch.
Our product that we get for the reblend operation is mortar that's been sent out onto sites in silos.
There's no way of us getting it back into a compressed truck, so we can't blow it back into the plant to then put it back into a normal process, so we have to drop it into bulk bags.
The old system that we used to have, you'd have to pick the bags up, as you'll see in the new process, but you'd have to lift it a little bit higher. It used to be towards the limit of the forklift. It was very hard to aim it in because it was a very tight hopper. Lower it down onto a spike, you get quite a release of dust. If you had a blockage, you would have to, it was at chest height, so you'd have to lean in. It was a lot of stretching to get the back of the grate, to get any lumps or any problems out. And also, you was having to lift up and over, which is not great for the manual handling side. For the driver as well, the access, there was no gantry or anything like that, so you used to have to use the truck's onboard ladder and handrail system.
So our new system, the drivers have the gantry to have safe access to the top of the truck, so that minimises a chance of an accident there. The hopper system is designed to break down, so it's kind of like a Russian doll where you can bring out the middle tub, put it on the ground, and it's about your waist height, and then you can bring out the spike again. So you can, if you have a complete full tub, you don't have to shovel that out, you can lift the tub and it will all come out the bottom on the ground in a safe, controlled way.
The other sides that have been improved, we've added a DCE de-dusting system, which obviously better for the environment and reduces airborne dust emissions of silica. Also, we added a vibrator system, because the old system, if it blinded, we'd get a build-up of dust and you'd have to manually try and move that out or poke it through. Now, this system, you can put the vibrator on and get as much dust through as you can, so you're just left with the lumps. It's been a big improvement towards health and safety. It's improved 3 of the fatal 6. We don't think anything's perfect. We're always trying to continually improve, not just this process, but all processes within the business.
We have a ball mill that has liners inside, which are changed partly 6 months, but all of them every 12 months. And each one of these liners weighs 55 kilograms, and there's quite a number, up to 400. We lifted them primarily on the outside of the mill. We'd use forklifts or lifting equipment, but on the inside it was all manual handling. One person lifting 1 plate, so each person lifts 55 kilograms. But after they've done that for the 5 days, they're absolutely shot. Magato have now cast a recessed hole in the plate, so it's allowed a lifting device to go in and trap inside the plate. With our system, we put lifting tackle inside the mill, but what's made it different is the fact that we use chains through some spare bolt holes in the shell of the mill to use a 3-ton hoist. It gives you 2 things. One, the support mechanism can be outside and more compact, but the other thing is anything you put up inside now doesn't have to be erected manually, or the lifting beam inside can be lifted, hoisted up by the radio controlled hoist that we have on the outside of the mill. The Magato lifting device that goes in their pocket in the plate to be able to lift it is actually too long to place the last few plates in the mill. So we've actually designed a new lifting device to go into the pocket of the plate so that the last 2 plates can be fitted. With the new system, we use a hoist to lift the plates onto a gravity conveyor, and the plates are pushed towards the inlet of the mill. If the mill did turn, I've been here 42 years, we've never had a mill turn while we're doing mill plating, but it is something that you could potentially say could happen. If you've got a hoist suspended and those chains run through the middle, it turns, it could tighten the chains up to the point where they shear. So we fitted another hoist, which is a battery hoist. We don't need it to be fast. What we need is something to fail in a smooth, controlled way. Not only has it been a much safer way of doing the operation, but it's been accepted by the team with open arms.
Every night we do what's called a clean down. So every night that when the processing stops, we set aside time for the plant to be cleaned down and ready for the next morning. With this particular piece of equipment, it means getting inside, opening it up and cleaning it out, making sure all the areas are clear, everything's rotating and turning, ready for the next morning. Well, all the hazards were identified by our operatives that actually work on the equipment themselves. They then raised safety concerns and near misses, and obviously one of them was raised via an accident. And that's where they then helped and aided in the devices that were implemented as well. So what we did, the first one was the opening of the crusher. One of the bolts is at the very top and made it very hard to get to. So what we did, we installed a fixed set of steps which can be removed should we never need to do any maintenance, but it allows the operative to get straight up, undo the bolt, and therefore it's nice, simple and easy to use, therefore they're more likely to use it. Once they've done that and they open up the crusher, that then presented a further risk, which was a falling from height risk. Simply with the crusher being opened up, there's about a 5-foot drop to the vibrating feeder below. Originally, the employees would either use scaffold boards to put across, but they can move and slide, or they would have straddled across the opening. So we designed a metal plate that went across. It uses the fixings from the crusher itself, and therefore it's nice, simple and easy to use. We then had an issue with the rotor, so there is a pin that's installed which is supplied with the machine. We had a chain installed on that to make sure that it stayed insecure, but it was an item that could be quite easily forgotten. And following an incident at one of our sites, it was sent across to all our sites for someone to find a solution. So a couple of sites come up with very similar designs, and this became the final one that went in at every single site. And again, it's nice and simple. They can lift it up, put it in. It uses the fixings of the machine to put it in place. It also means it can never be left in and closed in with the machine in operation, because you can't use the fixings, have obviously got to be removed. So it made it nice, simple and safe.
The company asked us to find a solution to allow non-competent personnel, i.e. non-electrical personnel, to be able to access electrical switchgear to reset overloads. Traditionally, an electrician would perform a dead test by verifying his meter, performing the test and verifying his meter again. The budget doesn't account for an electrician at every single site, so we was asked to find a solution to allow non-competent people to do electrical resets. We found various devices that indicated the presence of voltage, but they didn't indicate the absence of voltage via a test method. We then come across the Panduit system, which carries out a full range of tests to ensure the absence of voltage before allowing entry to the panels. Prior to confirming the absence of voltage, it will carry out a test to prove its installation. It will then prove or test for absence of voltage. It will then check itself again, and only if those requirements are satisfied, it will release the interlocks and allow entry. We've combined the absence of voltage device with a door interlock system, so the doors will not open unless the test has been carried out. The device comes with a set of safety contacts rated to seal 3. Working together with functional safety engineers, we've designed a system which also conforms to seal 3 to physically prevent people accessing these panels unless the test has been successfully carried out. As part of the force functioning system and design, we've included magnetically coded switches on the doors linked to the undervoltage coil on the main isolator, meaning that even when the doors are open, you cannot re-energise. The doors must be closed to re-energise the circuit. As part of making the Latoto process more robust, it puts the step 7 part of the tryout into the engineer's hands rather than relying on communication with the operator.
All the guys have a procedure to go through at the start of the shift to check their vehicle for a variety of things, which includes the condition of the tyres.
The old system was a dial, and it was simply a needle that went round.
They were screwed into the valve of the tyre, giving the operator an indication.
You couldn't tell the difference between one day and the next as to where the needle had actually been. So if you lost 2 or 3 PSI, you wouldn't have known that, because you don't know exact place where the needle was yesterday morning to this morning.
If the tyre pressures are incorrect, you could ultimately get a tyre blowing out, could cause a serious accident. So it's vital that the machines are all kept at the right tyre pressures.
The new system is a small device that goes onto the tyre gauge, and it operates via Bluetooth. We can check it with a digital reader, and it gives an accurate reading of our tyre pressures first thing on the morning. And it also transmits signals via the Bluetooth to a small receiver in the cab, which monitors our tyre pressures through the day, tyre pressures and our tyre temperatures.
It's very accurate. It can also be set so that these gauges in the cab will give the operator a warning if the tyre pressure suddenly goes below or above preset limits. I think it's just another improvement, another example where we're trying to drive things forward. It takes that uncertainty away from the operator and gives us peace of mind that things are working correctly.
And the winner of the MPA Award for Maintenance and Housekeeping is FM Conway. And let's take a look at the other entries in this topic that were recommended for awards. now to the MPA Award for Safer Handling of Inbound and Outbound Materials. This award is sponsored by High Control.
We manufacture the dry silo product, gravity fed into road tankers, and they're distributed out onto customer sites. Here we actually do manufacture bulk bags. Again, these tankers are filled, rolled around to a mobile silo, blown into there, where then the operators manually put a bag on the bottom, gravity fed, discharge into a bulk bag and fill a bulk bag. The standard mobile silo is relatively low to the ground, so you've got an operator who'll be crouching down to hang a bag underneath, and then it was a manual operation, opening a butterfly valve to fill the bag, and then when they filled the bags in, you know, the volume that's in the bag, air escapement's got to come out, and that's a lot of dust came out. So operators wearing, as usual, a full PPE, but then he also had to have a full face mask, which was air fed for protection, just purely from the amount of dust that was being generated. So that was the first port of call, is how can we stop the dust coming out of the bag. The first measurement was put an inflatable neck seal onto the bottom of the silo and have a manual control where an operator stood out the way of the process and then control the valve from a distance while the bag was being filled. And with an inflatable neck seal, there was no escapement coming out from the process. The next step after that was put a weight control on. So now it's the operator hangs the bag, the program is set up, so they just press the start button, and then the bag will now fill to the set weight limit and then close off. And then the operator next comes in just to tie the bag off before the footlift truck takes it away to put it into location storage. Next step we looked at moving for the busy manufacturing sites and the DSM plants is takeaway truck movement. The silos were still being filled externally by tanker truck movement. There could be 12 tanker movements a day to fill the silos. So the next step was move these silos to be filled directly from the manufacturing plant itself. So now the 3 silos are filled directly from the plant.
Here we manufacture structural and architectural precast concrete components for the internal and external market.
Safe lifting in the facility here is our #1 priority.
We are casting around 600 units per week. Each unit gets lifted probably around 5 or 6 times. That's about 3,600 lifts per week we're doing.
We're lifting a variety of different shapes, sizes, weights and complexity.
Controlling lifting operations, we have everybody on site who would be involved in a lifting operation, they will be trained and competent to do so. Every area where lifting operations take place, we have got exclusion zones in place.
Nobody's in and about other than the people that's particularly doing that lift.
With all lifts, upcoming lifts, I have a lot of interaction with all the detailing, engineering. One thing I do like to do is go for the lift plans that we've come up with, see if we can improve, see if they've got some ideas of their own to actually improve the lift plan.
Every panel, every type of panel we have has a lift plan, and we have a discussion if we don't think that lift plan suits what we're trying to do.
We've also got shadow boards on site. The shadow boards have worked amazingly across site. The reason why they work so well is because we know where all our lifting accessories are at all times. It's a clear indication of the lifter being in date and having the right certification because of the colour-coded tag we have present. Every lifter that we have on the units, we spray them yellow. Spraying the lifters yellow highlights to ourselves and site that is the lifting point.
We need to ensure that it's safe lifting on projects as well. So our design team work with the projects to ensure that we have suitable and sufficient lifting accessories and lifting plans for how they're going to actually install these products on site.
There's a ticket attached for every unit that's got the 3 different lift types on it, and the 3 lift types break down the whole life cycle. So it's got the demold, handling, loading onto trailers, and then the install as well.
So we do 2 major checks here. One is a competency audit, and that's on the operators themselves to make sure they're actually following the lift plan. They're using the right slings, they're using the right edge protection. And the other audit we do is an area audit, which makes sure the shadow boards are up to date, make sure all the lifting accessories are tagged up and fit for use, make sure any defected items are in the quarantine bin. And then obviously we'll put actions in place to make sure if there is actions from it, we'll make sure that they are resolved.
This will not only make us safer as a business, but will also make our products stand this test of time moving into the future.
As hot box usage increases, our frequency of incidents also increases. Cemex have had, within the last 18 months, 3 minor explosions and 1 entrapment inside the hot box. As Cemex, we looked at the problem from an asphalt manufacturer's point of view, but we also asked what the drivers thought was the issue as well. So we introduced a survey for all our hot box drivers within all our asphalt plants, and we found some surprising results. In respect of training, we found big gaps in the formalised training of employees for using hot boxes. Falls from height are also a big risk in this activity. In respect to entrapment risks, recently in Cemex we had an owner driver who gained access into the back of his hot box. Resulting from a long running issue with his doors, there was a failure and he got trapped inside a heated hot box. The 4th most popular item we found was hot box design and modifications made to them during their service life. Following the survey, we've set up a working party that involves every single asphalt plant manager working for Cemex. We've looked at sites on an individual basis, so groups of managers will pool their knowledge and attempt to improve situation on site for hot box safety. As a result of the specific site audits, each site has been given a plan to improve the activities, location, loading, or even basic training to hot box drivers on their site. Cemex has created 2 videos to highlight the issues with hot box operation and loading. The first one was a 10-minute video where we attempt to show you the various aspects of loading, control and setting, and try to give hints to drivers as to what to do. The second one was less than a minute where we try and attempt to show the hard-hitting aspects of what goes wrong if hot box procedures and good practices are not followed. What we need to do is come together, get a simple and effective procedure that is consistent throughout our industry in order to keep hot box drivers safe no matter what company they go to.
Obviously, as an industry, every year we have problems with yellow machinery coming in contact with other side users, small vehicles, pedestrians, etc. So Hanson Chip and Subway we were no different. Here we are in the main entrance, very close to the main entrance of the site. Behind me, you can see the aggregate base we use to feed material to the concrete plants. So when we implement the one-way system, we realized the loading shaft will come here fairly regularly and is reversing out towards live traffic. So it's a busy site, a busy entrance, and we were uncomfortable with the loading shaft reversing towards live traffic. So we thought that we need additional measures or controls in place. So we have installed an induction loop in the tarmac. So any vehicle that comes to site, it will trigger this induction loop that will activate the system. Behind me, we can see 4 signs, self-explanatory, with 2 LED lights. The green light is constantly on, solid green, and it's telling the operator that the system is in operation, is working. So as soon as anybody comes to site, an HGV, small vehicle, even a pedestrian, the system will be triggered and the green light will immediately change to hazard amber light. Obviously, when the loading shovel is reversing out of this base, he will see the lights flashing at him constantly and he will know that he has to stop because something is happening behind him. It tells the operator before somebody comes to his area where he is working that somebody is going to enter in the area, so he is in control. He can look back, stop, check what is happening and decide what to do. He gains time to react and to act and to stop the machine. So obviously the system has been built with a fail-safe. So if the induction loop is not communicating with the lights, the system will be in hazard amber lights. And obviously the second check is for the operator to know the system is working well, the solid green light. If the light doesn't change in 30 seconds, it means like other vehicle has passed, or it means that the system is not correctly working, so the induction loop is not sending the correct signal. So the site management needs to be contacted immediately. So we think that we have removed the hazard because he is aware that something is happening even before it happens.
And our winner this year of the MPA Award for Safer Handling of Inbound and Outbound Materials is Explore Manufacturing. And here are the other entries in this topic that were recommended for awards. next award is for safer management of pedestrians and transport on site. Here are the finalists.
There's been a growing awareness around the fatal six, and in particular vehicle and pedestrian interaction. It was clear that Hanson and the whole business needed to put a process or system in place to reduce this. Hanson teamed up with K2 Media Services for their expertise in the support in developing this and launching it. We came up with the 3-step of check, speak, move, and then repeat. The check is to make sure that you've got your vehicle ID number, your buggy whip, you've got a radio before you leave the office area. The speak part then is you make contact with the zone controller to check it's safe to move on. And then obviously the move is you drive through to the area where you want to do your work. And then the repeat is once you've finished working in that area, you do the reverse. Again, you check that your flashing beacon is on, you got your ID, you speak to the zone controller, and then make your way through that zone. So Penderyn was split up into 4 zones. One zone covers the stocking area, second zone is the asphalt plant, third zone is the concrete plant, and the fourth is the quarry excavation area. The thinking behind the zones is to give one person control of that area, so they'll understand who's in that area already, what hazards are in that area. They'll give you the go-ahead or let you know what's going on in that area. So to help promote check, speak, move, repeat, we issued a lot of posters, lots of giveaways for the workforce. We've done training for managers, the site teams, and then there was guides sent out there for toolbox talks and to help with safety conversations. When it comes to managing pedestrians, they're issued a pedestrian map as part of the induction process, and to help them along the way, when they come to each pedestrian gate, there's a sign on top of the gate directing them where they need to go.
Here at CEMEX Dovells, historically, surveying was started off with 2 people going around with originally theodolites and things like that, whereas then it moved to GPS points, but it still revolved the person or persons walking all over the site to get the survey data, and it was, you know, the man in a small machine out on site in amongst the quarry vehicles. Whoever did it at a time when the vehicles weren't running, or you did it at a time when there was when they did interact, and that brings a whole, you know, bunch of risks with it. So we have an in-house person with our own drone who does the drone surveys. We then upload them to the cloud, where there's a whole bunch of sort of computer technology that goes in to crunch the numbers and turn it into a survey results that we can interact with on the computer. The resolution is so much greater. We can get down to such definition now that can then be interpreted by, you know, powerful computers. So we're actually measuring stuff down to the sort of centimetres. There's obviously stockpiles. I mean, there's also measuring of the road widths, bund heights, angle of roads, safety berms, face heights, all those sort of measurements that were difficult to get en masse across the whole site now can be done in one survey and at our fingertips a few days later. We can then actually put on annotations or markers, major services, high voltage, water pipes, gas pipes, they can all be mapped into that same survey. It's a lot quicker for starters, and we get the results back way quicker than we used to, but I think one of the main factors is the safety. We haven't got that interaction with a surveyor wandering around the site on foot. The operator of the drone now goes into a place of safety and sets the drone off, and that person stays in that position, flying the drone, taking all the data, you know, all safe.
Unlike a normal quarry per se, with all the static plant, we're entirely contract crush. So KJ Services are our contract crushing outfit with 3 crushing trains, and alongside that goes a lot of mobile plant. So currently we've got about 10 dumpers, 5 shovels and 5 excavators. So it's a lot of pieces of kit moving around on site. and it got to the position where we were parking dump trucks within our stocking area, on the active haul roads, in our asphalt plants area. Everything was spread out, lots of areas where lots of hazards where things could have gone wrong. So when we first looked at it, it was definitely to have all the mobile plant in one area, so all the servicing, all the parking, maintenance, all done in one area. We tried to think what area is best for the guys and girls getting out the machines, and that's going to be close to pedestrian walkways and ideally close to their welfare facilities. And behind us here now is where all their canteen and welfare is. So we wanted to design it specifically in this area, but in order to do that we had to move about 3 different stockpiles several times. We decided to use the concrete blocks because they're fairly mobile, so we can up and move them. We also wanted to put the flag, like the buggy whips, on there to try and highlight it a bit better. So we wanted them to then be able to get out of the machines and get to the canteen safely. So that made us do an entire different pedestrian route. So we installed a brand new walkway on the left-hand side, a new walkway on the right-hand side, and that meant each person had access to the canteen from whatever side they parked in.
Along with that, pre-start inspections in the morning, it's given, their own little bay. It's all, safe level ground for them to be walking on when they're moving around the machine.
We've put PIR lighting and then switch lighting in. So along all the walkways there's lighting. We decided to level it all out, rise it above the actual ground level so we can manage the drainage a lot better. And we decided to use RAP, so we liaise with our asphalt plant and all their waste asphalt that they return to try and actually build an area just with waste product.
So we've got a main access road off the A6 and then a very long and very high inclined single track lane. So we've seen about 150 wagon movements a day. That's 150 wagons coming in and also 150 wagons going out. You've got an articulated wagon going down with 44 ton gross weight and a small van coming back up. Neither of these 2 vehicles know that each other are going down the single track road. Ultimately, that could have caused a collision.
We've got a hairpin left-hand bend as you're coming in, and then you go up a bank, and you never knew you're going up and you're going to meet something.
One day we did have a formal complaint from a local collect haulier who pretty much turned around and said, look, this is unsafe, I don't feel comfortable coming here in the morning during the dark hours. And that's when myself and the senior management team and the health and safety team within Breedon sat down and really thought, right, what can we do here? Our area unit manager, he brought to the table regarding the idea of the traffic light system and a company that he'd used before at another site, a third-party contractor that specialised in this sort of work. So we have a traffic light system, just a basic red-green light, one at the top of the site, one at the bottom. Just gives them more of like a confidence without any sort of worry that there's going to be anything else coming in their direction. So we did look at censoring the system with the entrance and being so close to the A6 road. We found that if we were to censor it, and for whatever reason we had a heavy flush of wagons coming in, we had the potential of backing wagons up onto the main road. So to take that element away from it, we actually did introduce human control. This is done by the weighbridge man. He's got full live view of every aspect of the road coming up and down the site with a camera system. And then he has overall control over what the traffic lights do. It's helped the site massively, and as well as that, sort of the well-being of everyone else that comes here, they feel more safe and comfortable.
So actually this story began probably back in 2017 and originated actually from the MPA Awards 2016-17. I think it was Sabelco that actually demonstrated as one of the finalists a detection system that looked at their forklift truck actually moving within a warehouse. It was at that point that from an FM Conway perspective we were obviously looking for something that could provide the same sort of protections around our loading shovels, but in reverse. Historically, the camera systems that we had fitted onto loading shovels only warned the driver and only came up on a screen in a cab. Or perhaps it would just give an indication on a light. What we looked for was a system that broke that human error element and applied the brakes automatically. The Blackstare system detects both human and object. If it detects an object, it will not apply the brakes to a point where it comes to a full stop. It will slow the vehicle down. and the individual can actually sense that, the driver, the operator can sense that, and so they can take the appropriate action before the object's actually struck. From a human detection perspective, that's different. It will apply the brakes full stop. Not only will it come to a full stop, at that point it will then send an alert up into the cloud. We can then go into the camera system so that we can actually get a date, a time and a location of where the incident occurred, and then we can actually download the specific footage.
I've been driving loading shovels for about 20 years now, all different ones. It kicks in, then you stop and you look, sort of thing. When you get up the machine, you can't see everything around you by looking behind. I haven't driven any machines with this level of safety before.
Significantly, you know, a massive improvement working with manufacturers with the same end goal. Same end goal as everyone else has got, is preventing fatal or major injury accidents.
It's a very, very busy site. There's a lot of traffic movements on site, there's a lot of yellow plant moving about on site. The main issues we were trying to fix was pedestrians coming into contact with heavy mobile plant and road-going vehicles, and how we could safely segregate those two. We did have quite a lot of near misses, not anything that sort of came out to being an actual accident, but you know, the possibility was there, and that's what we wanted to eliminate. First of all, we started looking at the traffic management and how we could route the vehicles better. We totally spun the traffic management round, so the weighbridge at the entrance and exit swapped. And then we started looking at segregating the pedestrians from the vehicles. So we started using jersey barriers, designated walkways with gates, and then we also have a map that we show on the induction and the specific routes to get to specific areas on site. There's always going to be a need to cross an area that can't be segregated, so we've got entrances, we've got exits that we need to cross. So to combat this, we put in marked pedestrian gates and also push button pedestrian crossings with traffic lights, so that they can safely cross those areas. So in our car park now, we've got Armco barriers, and we're using jersey barriers now on site to segregate the loading areas from the pedestrian walkways. We have two rail crossings where we have to get to the other side of the site, and one of the issues with the one-way system was that you couldn't see if those crossings were open, so a lorry could go all the way down the bottom of the yard, be stuck there because it was closed, not knowing, so have to reverse all the way back up the yard again. So what we did was we designed a sign with traffic lights on the sign to tell them at the gate exactly which was open and which was closed, so they wouldn't get stuck there basically. We went for big signs, simple signs, and more information on one sign rather than having multiple little signs which people tend to ignore, I think. As part of a wider investment on the site where we put in 2 new rail lines, we've also carried on the walkways. So we've put in segregated, designated walkways, roped off with level ground to walk on, so that then the ground staff don't need to be walking on rail ballast. Part of that, it's all litting up all down the entirety of the walkway as well. We did a survey of site staff and of visitors. As part of the survey, a lot of the complaints that we got quite often from, especially from road hauliers who are coming in here to pick up material, but also from our own mobile plant operators, was the surface in the yard. So one of the things that we decided to do off the back of that was to get a capex together to resurface that yard completely, which we've done now, and the difference is amazing.
And our winner for the award for safer management of pedestrians and transport on site is Hanson. And highly commended and certificates of merit went to the companies you see now on the screen. Congratulations to all the winners there, and we'll return to the remaining 4 topic awards in a moment. Now though, we have the Individual Recognition Health and Safety Awards, which acknowledge the important critical role played by individuals in the workplace. These are the people who so often make things better for everyone. Nominated by their companies, these are what we like to call our health and safety heroes and heroines. Really top people doing amazing work. Now to the last 4 topic awards. The first is Safer Transport and Logistics, and this award is sponsored by Spillard Vehicle Safety Systems.
We manufacture and distribute concrete landscape products right across the country. And here within the logistics department we have probably around 200 vehicles on our fleet. Around 14 months ago in the industry there was a driver shortage, so we wanted to brainstorm some ideas where we could look at attraction and retention of our workforce and attracting new employees to the driver workforce. This idea actually came under the umbrella of logistics leading the way in health and safety. And the idea was we wanted to try and engage with the local community, and we wrote actually a presentation on road safety which the driver trainer presented at a local school.
We wanted to target the kids that were between 7 and 9 that would be walking to school, crossing roads on their own, and just generally being out and about more than the younger ones. We went into the schools, we went along to do a presentation, but we also took a truck so that the kids could see the physical size of the truck, and it makes it a little bit more exciting if you go along with something like a big truck for them. We did a PowerPoint presentation. We didn't want to spend too much time in the classroom because we wanted them out and about and around the vehicle. We bought a mat which we put down in front of the vehicle, which denotes the blind spots from the driver's seat. So from their point of view, they could see the actual blind spots for themselves. I don't think children have enough awareness of HGVs.
So the intention is to run another 3 courses by the end of the year. We've done 1 so far and the feedback has been amazing really. If we can save just 1 accident, then the whole campaign would have been worthwhile.
Cemix has got a large fleet with 70 plus tankers across Rugby and Tilbury. One of the issues we did find doing some of the risk assessments was there was a need to make opening the tank and accessing the tank a lot safer.
On a daily basis, you used to have to go up to the top of the tank, working at heights and unscrew the screw lid.
The driver is kneeling down and is unscrewing the spindles, which is a manual handling risk.
And quite hard to open, especially someone my size, quite small. There's always that fear when you're up on the top, that high up, that you could slip, fall, you know, if it's wet, if the tank's wet, if it's dirty.
Even though we have safety rails around the sides, there's still a risk, which we wanted to eliminate. So the driver never has to go on top of the tank.
The task was taken away to the tank manufacturer, where in collaboration with Feldbinder, we sat down and looked at the issues, and we worked out a plan to automate the lid system.
So we've come up with the auto tank lid, which will open automatically. The driver can operate it from ground level.
So it's a pneumatic lid, so you haven't got to climb up on the top of the tank. No getting down on your knees, unscrewing the lids. It's definitely a safer way, regards of working at height and manual handling as well.
So at the moment we're trialling the auto lids on 2 tanks at Rugby. There are still some more improvements we want to make with the lids. They're working very well at the moment, but we are in talks with Feldbinder to make some more improvements.
What this has done is allow the R&D teams at Feldbinder to assess the system that's been in place on these tanks and, you know, move forward and produce a more robust system that can be widely fitted on the rest of the fleet going forwards.
When the truck arrives at the site, the driver gets out and then he operates the crane and raises the crane. That allows the forklift truck driver to put the product onto the back of the truck. And then when he's finished loading the truck, he straps the load up, he lowers the crane and puts it into its storage position, which allows them then to leave the site.
Earlier this year, we had a serious unsafe incident when the vehicle completed loading. He travelled around the site with his crane still fully elevated, and in doing so, the crane in question came into contact with our main belt feed conveyor and pretty much destroying it in the process. The safety flaw Once the crane is raised, you could do pretty much anything with that vehicle with the crane at height. You were totally reliant on the operator's integrity to put everything back in place and stow the crane away. Following that discovery, a task force was then set up.
We wanted to look for a fail-safe system that wouldn't allow a driver to drive off if his crane was still in the air. So we also wanted a system as well that we could retrofit to all our existing cranes. So what we did was we engaged with HIAB, our current crane provider, and then they went away for a few weeks and come back with 5 solutions, which we managed to narrow down to one, which is the crane interlocking key system. So what that entails is basically you have a separate key for the crane interlock key, and that's attached to the vehicle ignition key, and it's welded so you can't separate the two. Driver, when he wants to operate his crane, would insert into the control box and then carry on operating his crane. Once he's finished, he would have to stow his crane away properly and safely, which would then enable the key to be released and in turn the ignition key, and then he can drive his vehicle away.
The solution that we've come up with really takes the possibility of human error out of the process. And what we would hope is that this is adapted by the industry and becomes really the standard with industry, so preventing any other incidents like this occurring in the future.
And the winner of the MPA Award for Safer Transport and Logistics is Marshalls. And let's see the other nominations. Next, the award for Safer Operations on Site.
One of our core values and key operating principles is safety at all times. Obviously, as you can imagine, being an explosives supplier, manufacturer and service provider within the mining and quarrying industry, safety is paramount in everything that we do. In Canada, particularly in Quebec, it's written into their law that an employee has the right to stop work. My head of health and safety at the time said, wouldn't it be great if we could make this work inside our business?
The stop work policy in its sort of general form is the ability and the authority for anybody at any time, if they feel unsafe with the job, to stop it there and then. So what they then can do is go and speak to a manager or supervisor, and they'll sit down, they'll look at the task and see what they can do to make it safe.
We created a stop work card. It clearly states that the bearer of the card is fully authorised to stop work with my signature. Having my signature on the card isn't an egotistical statement, it's basically a statement that says I have the authority from the boss to stop this job.
People on the quarries, people in the factories, people in the offices, every single person has that card, every single person has the ability to stop the job.
It makes you feel really good really, because if you have got a problem and you don't feel the job's safe to do, I know I've got the backing of Ben.
Whenever a stop work incident comes in, we have a sort of a data management system where it'll get recorded, it'll get lots of details of what it is, and we'll write down what learnings have been made from that, and that gets shared all throughout the EPC UK.
Fundamentally, what we've changed in our culture is our reaction to an individual stopping work. By reinforcing it from my position as a managing director, we've found it's really gained traction, and it's really, following the pandemic, took our safety culture to a new level.
So traditionally in road marking, any method of drying the carriageway or removing road markings is done by open flame. We use thermal lances which run at about 1,000 degrees, and or more conventional stuff would be drying with gas torches. We did have an incident where a thermic lance was left running and unattended on the side of a carriageway, which was very near to pedestrians. We see it as an issue whereby we're putting our workforce as well as members of the public at risk. As well as that, there's obviously a huge implication of what that does to the environment, being that you're burning gases. We're always looking for safer ways of doing things. So we was tasked by our health and safety and our director to find that method. So we've got the Zorocco Hammerjet dryer, which is a jet turbine dryer, and it just forces hot air out of the shroud. We're using them for drying road markings, removing debris from carriageways, etc. It's making the process a lot safer for the operatives in that they're not working in and around a naked flame. Albeit the kit does get hot, but you are that far away from it that it isn't going to cause you any harm. It's very lightweight. It's got a function on it where it's assisted when it moves. There's no chance of backfire like there is for traditional methods through the gas bottles and through the lances. The lances work off of large compressors from the vehicle. They work from 15-ton vehicles. These are working, as you can see from behind me, in a 1.5 ton panel van. The Zorocco Hammerjet is just another example of how FM Conway are reducing risk by their big 10 in 10.
We've had something called Big 10 in 10 of an FM Conway for 2 or 3 years now, and it's proven to be really successful. And that sparked the whole thinking and the initial discussion with the supply chain safety leadership group. The group has been around for quite a while, and it was chaired prior to me by Phil Clifton, and I was introduced to Phil and National Highways and joined the group as a member prior to becoming chair. We just had a great conversation around the potential for introducing a new perspective on the group and a new strategy, which we then developed. Risk profiling is a really important part of this. So we've gone across the whole of industry and surveyed as many people as we can. We believe it's potentially one of the broadest surveys of its kind. The risk profiling exercise has generated the significant 8. These essentially are those risks that are most likely to kill people that work in the industry, and those are the ones we're focusing hard in on. This is about really changing the way we think and work. This is about doing risk audits on site proactively. This is about having simple engineering and other controls that are embedded that make a difference, a real difference to people. So it's less dependent on behaviours. We've been through a journey initially to bring people on board, as many stakeholders as we can. I've written many hundreds of letters to different people. We believe we've done a good job to get as many of those people on board. And to generate a great group which is very diverse in every way. Collectively, we all have similar objectives, whether it's the Big 10 in 10 for FM Conway, whether it's the Fatal 6, or whether it's the Significant 8. This is about really taking all of that learning and making something that's sort of unified and more impactful than anything we've had before. So we really want to make a difference here.
Particular issue we were looking to try and solve was actually how we gained greater visibility on a project we were working on where we had 5 river crossings we were completing a lighting installation to simultaneously. We had a number of roped access abseilers that were working off of the bridge, installing the lighting in parts of the bridge that you can't necessarily see as a member of public or as a client. How do we tell the client and the architect and their consultants what we're doing and assure the quality of our installation? We decided to look at a number of different routes. We obviously looked at general FaceTime, we looked at GoPros. None of those had any means of interaction with the site team once you have the technology on. The HoloLens actually offers an interactive perspective, so our consultants, our architects and our client could ultimately interact with the abseiler, point them in the direction of visually on the screen via drawing, writing and also verbal communication whilst viewing the abseiler's point of view.
We can live stream while they're in this area or restricted space or hazardous space, such as confined space, and broadcast to engineers, to clients, to supply chains, and have a conversation while reducing risk of entry. What we can do is we can bring up drawings of 3D modelling in this augmented reality. So this allows us to bring up an area of a new design. We can then position this new design on top of an existing area.
With any innovation technology we're looking at, we always look at our Big 10 in 10. So linking back to our top 10 risks within the business, HoloLens can really help eliminate, reduce and provide engineering controls for a number of those risks. Most notably things like working at height, linking back to my note on roped access. Instead of sending the client out or multiple people, engineers, specialists out and roped access or situations where they'll be working at height, they can sit at home in their office and you reduce the amount of people exposed to that risk.
When we carry out a road surfacing operation, we normally will have a gang of 9 people around the machines, and we could have anything between 3 plants to 7, 8, 9. We also have delivery lorries bringing the material as well. With all the plants moving around, there is always noise generated as well, which is a risk to the guys because the machine requires noise protection for the operative. We did initially issue normal hearing protection, so the ear defenders, the ear muffs. But there was a struggle with communication because while they were getting hearing protection, they weren't able to communicate with each other. As a SHEC team, we went back to the drawing board, tried to figure out what to do, how we can keep them safe around the plant, but also provide them hearing protection as well as a communication device. We were able to come up with issuing out the Pelter headsets. The headsets, obviously they are helmet mounted. It's a noise cancellation device. While they're able to communicate with each other, they're still getting protected from the dangerous noise that comes from the plant, but also they're able to hear the ambient noise, which is quite important because being on the construction site, we're not going to be the only ones on the site. We have other contractors working, they're moving their own machinery, so we're able to hear any dangerous noise around us. We're able to hear any plant moving, but we hear that at a safe level. Only one person can speak at a time, so it takes away the confusion of multiple people speaking at the same time. Also, as part of the people-plant interface, we have sweepers, rollers and sprayers on site who we issue walkie-talkie radios, and the guys on the ground are able to communicate to make sure that no one is around them when the operation is taking place.
So the system is called VGIS. It can be used on a smart device. It integrates any 3D information and can augment that into your site location. We specifically, at this point in time, use it for ground penetrating radar and utilities. There are lots of guys out on site every day excavating in an environment that isn't always that safe, close to utilities, and I was aware that we do have service strikes within the company. So I looked at the information we have, and we have lots of GPR information for a number of our sites, and started to look at the way that we could integrate that into the system and start to use that on a site-by-site basis. The traditional way of doing this on site is to take the 2D information, trace that and spray that into the site location. So you have lots of site marks on the ground. Of course, when you're excavating, those marks will be removed and that information is lost. So the augmented reality really comes into its own, that it can project that information into the excavation and continue to show the operatives on site where the utilities are placed. So a constant way of being able to check. We've worked hard with the developers to develop a system that works for us. We've adapted it so that we get a two-dimensional line on the road that replicates the tracing that the operatives are used to seeing. From there, you can place the cursor on the lines that you're interested in, and that will project the 3D information in front of you, keeping everything on site as simple as possible. And when it projects that 3D information, it shows you the depth of the utility and also a visual representation of the size and a label for what that utility is. So the system also is able to undertake reality capture. This again is used on the smart device through the app, and it scans excavations in our case and documents what's been found in that excavation. This means that if any future tests need to be undertaken, the site doesn't need to be excavated again, so reducing risk in that area.
And our winner of the award for safer operations on site is FM Conway. And here are the other nominations. The MPA Award for Safer Through Improvements in Health and Wellbeing is sponsored by Hargreaves, and here are the finalists.
So with the traditional testing method using the pressure pot, there is a much higher risk involved with this method. It's usually tested using a strong solvent called dichloromethane or methylene chloride, or METHs as we call it for short.
It's very harmful, it's cancerous if you was to be daily exposed to the vapours of methylene chloride. We have to wear solvent-proof gloves, halfway up your arm, full-face visors. Your exposure is as reduced as it can be through our PPE.
The actual lid itself, weighs a fair few kilos. If we're lifting bottles up to this position here and turning them up and upending them,
it's quite a strain on the back.
We was told about this machine that would do everything for you basically, so we thought, okay then, we'll give it a go. So the machine itself, the analyzer machine, you actually get rid of a lot of manual handling, and it's all done with a press of a button basically.
the analyzer has a clean tank reservoir. So what you would do is undo the seal on the tank, and you would manually pour METHs using a jug into the reservoir.
That felt sort of odd, considering this machine was purchased to eliminate our exposure to the METHs. So we've come up with a solution involving a hose which will plug directly to the front of the machine here. We can pump it straight into the machine from the tank outside.
So we don't have any direct contact with the METHs, there's no risk of splashing or spillages. The machine takes care of all of that for us because it's a sealed system.
From a personal safety point of view, I can go home every day knowing that I haven't inhaled any harmful vapours. And I just feel comfortable that it's a lot safer and beneficial to mine and my colleagues' health every day.
Imerys is absolutely committed to the health and wellbeing of its employees, as well as safety and environmental are clearly important to us in the industry we work in, and branching out to health and wellbeing is the natural progression from that. So as a result of the uptake in mental health referrals in 2019, we started to educate and communicate around mental health. The decision was made that we needed to educate people to prevent them being referred, so addressing the problem at root. We did various initiatives on mental health specifically. We went through training. We trained an initial cohort back in 2019. I think it was around about 20 people at the time as mental health first aiders. So anybody can volunteer to be a mental health first aider. Currently we have over 50, and they range from operatives and our quarries and finers right up to senior management, both in the UK and abroad in Europe. Our mental health first aiders are there as a point of contact for any employees that want to talk. And the idea is that they'll be able to signpost that individual to the support they may need. We broadened out to focus not just on mental health, but general well-being as well. So we produced leaflets on musculoskeletal management, for want of better words, heart conditions and how to prevent them or try to prevent them, as well as around stress management. We've also put in place financial education, because that can be quite a stressor for people, more so in today's climate than probably when we launched it several years ago. And all that is being refreshed and reminded as often as we can. We also have an employee assistance program, which is an anonymous support line they can call.
People have used our EAP system. They have made contact with the companies that we have links to, so that they've been able to discuss their issues further, seek the advice that they've needed. And I have known colleagues to be grateful for that assistance in pointing them in the right direction.
The benefit of educating people means that we're more proactive at identifying potential issues with mental health and therefore getting employees the support maybe quicker than they may have done in the past.
At Kilwater, we passionately believe that healthy, engaged and motivated employees are critical to the success of the organisation.
Mental health would be a big focus of the company. It gave me the opportunity to go and train as a mental health first aider.
Seeing the changes that are implemented through the Great Place to Work surveys really makes you feel like your opinion matters.
The cost of living crisis that we've just had, they give us all an extra payment coming in next month's wage, which is really going to help. So that really does set them apart from other people.
The company have supported me through my ILM, Leadership and Management Level 5, and continue to provide me with development plans to further my career.
We're very conscious of environmental impact. We plant wildflower and over 20,000 trees in various locations. We are also encouraged to spend time in nature. We have picnic tables and nature walks.
Kith and Kin Financial Wellbeing delivered a presentation that gave us lots of useful advice.
Being a remote worker, obviously out on the road, there can be lonely days. The support by anybody in the company has just been above and beyond.
We've got our private healthcare, our occupational clinic. The company also provides a winter pack, keep us safe when we're driving. Flu jab throughout the year, and then there's the Stress Awareness Week, and it all makes you feel that you're cared for.
Kilwater prioritises the health and wellbeing of their employees through their rewards and wellbeing online portal. The wellbeing section of the portal allows us to tailor lifestyle plans, get advice on sleep, mind and keeping active.
As you've been in Glasgow and head office in Milan, you feel as if you're still under the one big building.
In order to measure engagement, we use an external company called Great Place to Work UK. We have been certified as a Great Place to Work. 90% of our employees stated that Kilwater actively promotes mental and physical well-being among their employees.
Marshalls has always taken pride in focusing on the well-being of its employees. During COVID-19 that focus was only heightened and since then we've had lots of uncertainty, lots of worrying times, and what we've found is that mental health and mental health awareness has come to the forefront of that. And so we've decided to focus our programme around mental health as well as well-being and building on the good foundation that we had.
The biggest issue was that people didn't really know where to go and what was available. One of the biggest gaps is we don't have a platform or one place to go to where to access whatever you might need in the health and wellbeing space.
So Marshalls now came about as the platform for all employees. It has got different areas on there, so there's things like discounts for all sorts of things that you could ever want, and then there is a specific section for wellbeing.
We have Cycle to Work, where we help people to pay for bicycles. We have the Press, which is our newsletter.
It also has the information for CIC, so I have a full page for CIC on there, which is the dedicated support, which is for our employees. And there's the Wellbeing Centre, which is the hub of it all, which has recipes, exercise, all sorts of things to keep people engaged, to get them moving and get them out and about.
We also introduced a healthcare cash plan, and also with the help of the new platform Marshalls Now, we have raised the awareness of the mental health and the Healthy Minds network that Shelley Handley is managing for us.
So currently we've got 50 mental health first aiders. They're there to just be that point of contact and to ensure that people are listened to and have that support there and then. This year we've launched a manager's guide for mental health, so how to deal with and how to recognise signs of mental health amongst the colleagues.
We have a high uptake of using the mental health programme, 12% for our private sector. That just demonstrates that we are right behind, what we're asking people to do, and that is to talk, and that it's okay to talk about mental health.
And the winner is Kilwater Minerals Limited. And here are the other nominations. finally in this section we have the MPA Award for Safer Together.
As our business has got bigger, say we've got over 600 employees now UK-wide, having some sort of direct, consistent dialogue across the workforce became a challenge. So in 2019, I challenged the senior management team to look at some initiatives where we could engage across the workforce. So in 2020, we prepared our Key Safe Behaviour programme. And we went effectively on a roadshow really, and I personally attended every one of them. I went across the UK and we delivered probably a 4-hour session on some key safe behaviours that we'd identified as being quite critical to try and to improve, or further improve, I would say, the safety culture within our business.
Our vision of having a safe workplace free from injury really was at the centre of looking more closely at our key safe behaviours and challenging the culture of health and safety at the individual level.
We thought it was important to have a video where we had buy-in from the workforce for them to accept the key safe behaviours.
In 2022 we then moved on to behavioural safety, slightly different approach where we employed a company to basically design a course for us, which was not specific to the Walters business, but really tried to get into people's behaviours.
Again, every employee in the business has gone through the behavioural safety programme, which was attended by a senior manager, director, right across the country.
It's another interesting course, things you can learn from, some things that, not everybody does know everything, do they? So, you sit back and you listen and take it on board and yeah, try and follow it through.
We're focusing on individuals' behaviour. We all have issues outside of work, and we're finding that bringing issues into work. So we're just trying to get the message across is your behaviour affects how you perform whilst you're in work, and it can affect others around you.
Pride in Plant is part of our QTG group. QTG is a quality training group that meet up, and it's all the site supervisors. Traditionally what we did is we would get together in a hotel, but COVID came along and that gave us a little bit of a problem. So really the thought was, what could we do together but apart? And that's where Pride in Plant really was born. It was not what can you do with £50,000 or 5,000, it's what can you do with 500 quid to make your plant and your site look better, feel better, and primarily to be safer.
Pride in Plant, it's a concept that we've developed within Brett's, where supervisors, we meet normally on a quarterly basis and share ideas, walk around different sites to observe how they're doing improvements and develop the ideas back on our sites. We've made the signage a lot clearer. It gives the visitors and the contractors coming on site a good chance to follow the route in a safe fashion. We've also marked the traffic routes with the tyres and with the barrels. We've created welfare areas where it's a pleasant environment for the staff to sit down and relax for that brief period of time. We've got signage for the handrails. We've painted them to enhance the visibility, which has made it a lot safer for staff and visitors to walk around the site in the safe areas.
We also publicise it throughout Brett Aggregates. We create PowerPoint, we create some presentations and some flyers that are then distributed throughout the sites.
On the weighbridge behind us, there's handrails along the side because drivers were getting out and walking along, and there's a drop the other side of about 3 foot. So we put the handrails in to stop them doing that and using the correct footpaths. In the whole road going down, there's, we call it our chicane. It slows the vehicles going down onto site. They're really, really simple but effective, keeping people safe.
So 5S is a way of working and a way of organising your workplace. So in 2021, we established the 5S Council for the Aggregates Division within Hanson UK. The main goal of the 5S Council is to ensure that we continually improve through 5S initiatives. So that means coming up with new 5S initiatives, continually driving the standards forward. But most importantly, it's about ensuring that we have standardisation across the whole business and that we implement these improvements the same way at every site and that all sites get the same improvements. The members of the 5S Council range from apprentices up to regional directors. So you can see that in our case, we're quite a broad spectrum in terms of the people that we're involved in and as well as the scope that we're looking at. So council meets once a quarter, and that really helps us to plan the next 3 months of what our goals are and what we're trying to achieve. So one of the projects the 5S Council was involved in was looking at how we standardise pedestrian walkways across the business. You know, there's been some amazing improvements across the industry as a whole with different ideas, but what we found was by visiting the top 8 highest scoring sites in terms of 5S for pedestrian walkways, we found a very varying range of standards, essentially. So the project was aimed at visiting those sites, developing a set standard for what we would perceive a score of 3 on the 5S scale to be, and then re-auditing those top 8 sites to see where they actually fell against the new standard. And then we were then able to find justification to improve those sites that did fall below the standard. So the Making Time initiative is really a much broader project and a much longer term project. People within the industry will know that managers and management teams' time is very short with all of the different things that we ask them to do these days. And what we were looking at with the Making Time initiative is to really find, using lean principles, really find where we can cut waste or we can reduce waste in the day-to-day management of our sites, and how we can really eliminate duplication particularly. So the project we did look at was about eliminating duplication in our inspection process. So we were already doing 5S auditing, and that a lot of that was being duplicated by some of our IMS procedures. So it was really about restructuring the inspection program, whether that's the daily inspections or monthly or even yearly inspections, seeing where we had the duplication, eliminating it and restructuring the inspection program using 5S as a core. We've had really good support from the exec and the managing board. They're fully behind all of the 5S principles and Lean Six Sigma as well, which is what the 5S Council is driving for. In terms of next steps, and I suppose which shows the support from the exec, is we are looking at doing a national 5S Council, so that'll cover all business lines and that'll ensure standardisation across the entire business, not just within aggregates.
Well, originally what we used to do was encourage people to put in, let's say, a number of hazard alerts. And hazard alert is essentially something that we write down on a form. It's a hazard spot that we might have seen that we put forward to the management, and then they do something about it. They help us to do something about it. Evolution after evolution, we've come across this particular format, which is a safety stand down. What a safety stand down does is essentially show CEMEX's commitment towards health and safety, towards me, towards my drivers, and towards anybody else that might be on site. And essentially what we do is stop production for half an hour, 3/4 of an hour. We gather everybody that's on site together, and whilst we stop production, we'll have a talk about our safety and what we can do to improve safety on sites. Each month that is driven by hot topic, if you like, and this month's hot topic was the use of mobile phone whilst driving. And on the hot topic of the month, there'll be leading questions, you know, to help us, should we say, drive that meeting forward. But the vast majority of the information that comes out of these meetings is from talking with each other. You know, we've got an infinite amount of experience with the guys that are on site, you know, many years between them. And, you know, there's nothing like talking to people to find out what they feel about what might be right or wrong about our site and also the customer sites as well. Following the safety meeting, we'll have a walk around the yard. Every pair of eyes that walks around our site can see something different. I'll take the notes on the walk round, put that into a form, an official form that we send off to our management team. They'll have a meeting and discuss the points that we've brought. From that, they'll create an action list.
And the winner of the MPA Award for Safer Together is Hanson. And here are the other nominations. Congratulations to all our winners in the Topic Awards. Absolutely terrific work. Well done, everybody. Next, it's our Eurobitume Award. The winner's been selected from the finalists in the topics we've just seen. The entries have been reviewed by Malcolm Sims, Director of MPA Asphalt, and Ian Lancaster of Eurobitume to find the best of the best in bitumen, either in production of products, storage, handling, delivery or contracting. The finalists are Bitumen System Management at Cemex Staunton, Hotbox Customer Safety at Cemex Sheffield, Automatic Closed Loop Asphalt Analyzer at Aggregate Industries in Purfleet. Now, the judges said that the winning entry was a brilliant example of investigation into incidents and near misses, which looked at the combined effects of a number of root causes. The company has found a simple and cost-effective solution for preventing potentially catastrophic incidents. And the company's used available technology to create a solution which can easily be rolled out by others. The Eurobitume Award goes to Cemex at Staunton. We've just seen some amazing achievements by lots of members over a range of topics. So let's now take a minute to look at a review of the progress made in the MPA's Fatal 6 campaign. It's been over 2 years since it was launched as an integral part of Vision Zero. A lot of work has been done to reduce accidents and fatalities over this period. Let's look at some of the industry's achievements. Vision Zero was launched in November 2020. It's the MPA members' commitment to ensure that everyone goes home safe and well every day. Vision Zero embraces 6 shared values to help keep everyone safe. Empowerment, engaged and visible leadership, zero tolerance of unsafe working conditions, high quality implementation, collaboration and sharing, compliance. Vision Zero aims to eliminate the fatal 6: contact with moving machinery and isolation, workplace transport and pedestrian interface, working at height, workplace respirable crystalline silica, struck by moving or falling object, road traffic accidents. These are the 6 high consequence hazards responsible for the most serious incidents in the industry. Progress is being made, and Vision Zero and the focus on Fatal 6 is making a positive impact. But to deliver Vision Zero, a strong, sustained effort is needed from everyone across the industry. Collaboration and sharing is happening, and MPA working groups with experts from member companies are creating tools and resources. These working groups are focusing on a review of hazards and causes of incidents related to the Fatal 6, identifying ways of eliminating these hazards, identifying what's good or best practice, and creating resources to share this knowledge across the industry. Vision Zero and the Fatal 6 are being integrated into many members' health and safety programs, and the feedback is positive. Members say they do help to identify ways to eliminate the causes of serious accidents and incidents. And efforts to keep everyone safe are going further. Safer by Design has been updated and improved to cover a wider range of mobile plant. It focuses on hazards that can be engineered out by good design, and it's being expanded to include fixed plant. The Safe Quarry website has a wealth of health and safety information to help members develop their own health and safety initiatives. A significant number of members have demonstrated their determination to put health and safety at the heart of the industry through their entries to the MPA Health and Safety Awards. These feature engineering innovations, education initiatives, or changes in procedures. Many of these have been specifically designed to eliminate high-consequence hazards related to the fatal six. These brilliant ideas are shared at the awards event, and all the videos can be seen online, and they feature in the Sharing Good Practice Guide. Leadership is vital in delivering Vision Zero. Leadership that's visible and consistent. The MPA's Safer and Healthier by Leadership workshops are helping senior managers and supervisors to give the right kind of leadership in the workforce. 500 managers and supervisors have completed these sessions so far, but it's clear that more members could send more delegates. This would greatly improve the quality of leadership across the whole industry. Training and the skills it helps develop give people confidence. Training keeps people safe, and it gives them the courage to speak up if they see a hazard or someone acting unsafely. Industry organisations like the MPA, MPQC and QuinJack are all sharing their health and safety knowledge as well. They've created tools and training to ensure that everyone in the industry has access to shared expertise. And there's continuing progress on health and safety systems to help members manage visiting contractors. MP Connect, developed by MPQC and the MPA, is a state-of-the-art smart card that checks on-site contractors' skills in just a few seconds. The MPA is also tracking the progress of Vision Zero by monitoring leading and lagging indicators like these. The action that's being taken and the figures are encouraging, but there's a lot more to do to reach Vision Zero. The MPA targets will only be reached if all members have an unrelenting focus on eliminating the fatal six, commit to the values which underpin Vision Zero, recognise successes, celebrate and share them, and share the learnings when incidents occur. Vision Zero. One vision, one outcome. Everyone home, safe and well, every day. Some great progress there, and hopefully an inspiration for you to follow. It's time then for this year's Fatal Six Award, and once again the judges have been hugely impressed with the quality of the entries. Our finalists are bulk tanker auto lids from Cemex UK, remote stressing via automated pin locator from Forterra, and CSMR, check, speak, move, repeat, a pedestrian traffic management system from Hanson. The winners have been selected by an MPA panel from the entries recommended by the topic judges. The judges chose an idea that could be adopted across the industry, something that makes a significant impact in reducing fatalities and serious injuries associated with falls from height. It uses technology to make safer an operation that's carried out every day across hundreds of sites. It protects drivers from risk. And the winner is Cemex for their entry showing the bulk tanker auto lids in safer transport and logistics. Let's turn our attention now to the youngsters, the future of this industry. It's the Young Leader Award that's sponsored by MPQC. That's the Mineral Product Qualification Council. This is the award that recognises the importance of the young people who work in this industry and celebrates their drive, their enthusiasm, their energy and their willingness to challenge the status quo. They are the health and safety champions. You'll see on the screen a list of our nominees, and I'm delighted to say that there were 16 entries this year with 7 finalists. Sadly, not all our finalists can be winners. The judges said it was an extremely tough job to pick just one winner. So this year, the MPA is pleased to announce that there are joint winners of the Young Leader Award. Our winners are Michael Elliott from Brett and Sean Holbrow from Hanson. Michael's manager says although he's only been with the company for just over 2.5 years, Michael's made a massive contribution to developing health and safety culture at Brett by listening to colleagues, and that's led to on-site improvements, and Michael's team is confident about stopping work when things aren't safe. Hanson says Sean has gone more than the extra mile, quickly learning new skills, taking up the role of site safety rep and helping to drive the safety committee. He's a focal point, helping to ensure that everyone is engaged, and that's improving safety culture on site. Congratulations to Michael and Sean, our young leaders, and well done to all our finalists. Soon we'll be announcing the winners of our top 2 awards, the John Crabb Award and the Sir Frank Davis Trophy. Before that, though, the MPA would like to acknowledge the amazing contribution that SMEs make to these awards through their entries. You'll have seen already today the quality of these entries is extremely high. This year, 20% of entries to the topic awards were from SMEs. It's wonderful to see a number of member companies entering these awards for the first time, and the MPA would like to mention Burlington Stone, Naylor Precast Concrete Products and SRC Group, who between them submitted 13 entries in total, demonstrating their commitment to health and safety. Well done. Please keep your entries coming. Your contributions are essential in helping to achieve Vision Zero. Now we have a special award, an extra. The MPA would also like to recognise a particular company for the progress it's made in improving health and safety culture and introducing changes to make the workplace safer. Much of what they've been doing reflects the Vision Zero core values. They submitted 7 entries for the topic awards, reflecting improvements that they've been making. 1 was a finalist, 2 were highly commended, and the remaining 4 were given certificates of merit. The judges were impressed with the work they've been doing to make the operation of pre-stressing concrete safer, an operation that can cause fatalities or serious injuries if things go wrong. The MPA Special Award goes to Forterra. And now we come to the 2 awards that recognise companies that have demonstrated outstanding health and safety performance and are recognised by their peers for their achievements in this area. Sir Frank Davis was chairman of the Health and Safety Commission for 6 years in the 1990s. The Sir Frank Davis Award is given to companies with fewer than 250 employees that demonstrate an outstanding health and safety performance. It'll be a company that has epitomised the theme of today's award ceremony, Safer by Sharing. Their entries also reflected Vision Zero values and the determination to eliminate the fatal 6 from their business. According to the judges, the winning company recognises good leadership, is a people-focused enterprise that has introduced safety ambassadors and 360-degree evaluations, and it has spirit, safety, passion, integrity, respect, innovation and teamwork, the company's core values summed up in just one word. The winner of the Sir Frank Davis Award is EPC UK Limited, and here's the MD, Ben Williams.
That's absolute great news. That's a real endorsement for our safety culture and our initiative in terms of ensuring that our employees have the courage to speak up. For EPC UK and all the employees, our whole team, it will mean a lot to be recognised for the efforts that each individual has placed on enforcing and believing in our safety culture. It's a real endorsement in the culture of saying speak up and be engaged in terms of our employees, and understanding that when they, with our stop work policy, that when they say, I don't feel safe, that everyone's engaged to say, okay, let's have a look at this and let's stop work until we believe it's safe to proceed. The awards themselves, for me, encourage companies and individuals to look at raising the bar and raising the standards in our safety, behaviour, health, well-being, transport, and basically they encourage us to compete. Most people are competitive by nature, but by doing it as an industry, it gives us all the chance to improve on best practice, even if that means plagiarising ideas. It doesn't matter if it means that someone goes home or feels safer in work and goes home safe every day.
And now to our final award of the day. The name of John Crabb is still spoken with reverence in this industry, and the reputation of this highly respected and well-known safety inspector lives on in the MPA award named after him. It's fitting that the John Crabb Memorial Trophy is awarded for true excellence in the field of health and safety. It goes to a company at the very top of its game. And as you can see from the list of shortlisted entries, this award will go to the best of the best, although the judges were impressed with all the entries. There can only be one winner though. The company has demonstrated outstanding innovation and leadership in the management of health and safety. This company has shown how adopting new technology can eliminate risk. And this company has also shared its knowledge and continued to review progress. It's also educated the workforce with leadership programs and workshops. The company's Big 10 in 10 concept has been a huge success. And this year's John Crabb Memorial Award also recognises and pays tribute to the legacy of Michael Conway, who sadly passed away earlier this year. The John Crabb Memorial Trophy goes to FM Conway. And here's Joanne Conway.
This award is a real testament to our dedication and commitment to looking after our great people. It really demonstrates our core values all coming to life. Excellence and innovation is at the core of everything we do. At Conway's, we really consider ourselves to be more than just a business. We're a family and a business of families. And I think this award really shows our people that they are our greatest asset. We're 100% committed to ensuring that every single one of them goes home safely each day, and all of them have contributed to this fantastic achievement. Sharing best practice within our industry is so important. Why keep our strategies and successes to ourselves? We'll only improve the lives of those working within our industry by pulling together. Winning an MPA award is more than just taking home a trophy or receiving an accolade. It leaves a legacy that can inspire and challenge new approaches that enable our industry to move forward. FM Conway's been in business for over 60 years now, and during that time we've been fatal accident free. This isn't luck, there's a lot that goes into this, and self-delivery I think has been the most vital part. We've a consistent workforce and they buy into our culture, and everyone has an important role to play. But we can never be complacent. We must always consider our impact on others and how we can improve. A culture ingrained in all of us from my father. Never settle for good enough. A thirst for innovation but care for our people can be felt throughout the whole business. We'll always continue to challenge the fundamental principles of health and safety. And it comes from all levels, not just the board. We come up with the ideas together. Winning the John Crabb Trophy is a fantastic achievement and one that our business is extremely proud of. There's a lot of hard work and effort that goes in every single day, and it's also another opportunity to thank our great people.
Thank you to everyone who's made today happen and who worked so hard behind the scenes to make it a success. And of course, a big special thank you to all our sponsors. The theme of today's conference is Safer by Sharing. So please share the videos of the event with your colleagues, and please ask yourself and your team, is there any idea that you've seen or highlighted today that could be applied to your site or company that would make it a safer or healthier environment? And finally, do watch out for the publication of the MPA Good Practices Guide early in 2023, which will showcase many of this year's winners and entries. Thank you for joining us, and congratulations and well done for all your hard work. This is a great industry with some great people.